ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीं अष्टादशाध्यायिनीं अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि। भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। My namaskar to all who are listening this talk on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We are deliberating upon the verses from chapter number 13, Trayodasha Adhyaya. The name of this chapter is Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. So, the distinction, the discrimination between the Kshetra and Kshetrajna, that is the material and the conscious. The discrimination between these two, the knowledge of this yoga, the yoga through discrimination of material and consciousness. So, such a very interesting name, and as we can realize that it is the crux, it is the summum bonum of our problem. That taking material as something conscious, taking body as conscious, and taking mind as consciousness. So, not to make that mistake, but see material as material and consciousness as consciousness. So, this is the yoga. Until we had touched this 27th verse, but we are going to take it up again. So, here, before to this, there was a section of this from verse number 19th to verse number 23, where Bhagavan discussed these ideas, these verses, very, very profound verses. Prakrutim purusham chaiva vidyanadi ubhavapi vikaranscha gunaschaiva vidhi prakriti sambhavan, etc. So, and he made this great promise and gave this assurance that the person who will be able to see this, know this discrimination truly, meaning that truly, what is the meaning of the word truly? Knowing something truly, meaning that understanding will translate into his behavior and action, into his life. His life would be testimony of that discrimination, that he is not mixing it together. So here the words are used, ya evam vetti purusham prakrutim cha gunaisaha. So Prakriti and its guna, guna saha, gunai saha. So gunai saha means all its vikaraha. So the person who knows Purusha, that is consciousness, and Prakriti, that is matter and material. So gunai saha, that means everything material. Prakriti is the matter. So matter and consciousness. So when you know these two things distinctly, sarvatha vartamanopi, in whatsoever way, in all ways, you might be existing, whatsoever way. And Bhagavan says, this is the, if you know this, if you attain this knowledge, if you are truly established in this knowledge, what will happen? Nasa bhuyo bhijayate. He will not be born again. So he has really severed this knot of samsara, of this transmigration. He will not be born again. That he has truly attained liberation, he has truly become free. So that is the greatest promise. Here, while living, you can attain that liberation. That is the greatest thing we can think of. And it will come through this knowledge. Veti. It comes through knowledge. Knowledge only when you have perfectly established yourself into it and gotten fully rid of that ignorance, then this knot will be cut asunder. And that Atman, that some people, they see it through dhyana, some by knowledge, some by yoga, and some by karma. And some also people just by believing upon what they listen and being honest to it, being true to what they believe, what they hear, even those people also, they can become free. So that is this such a charitable attitude we see at the very core of the Hindu Dharma. That even after saying this, Bhagavan says this, Anye tvevam ajananta, ajananta, not knowing, Shrutvan anyebhya upasate. Shrutva anyebhya upasate. So they are worshipping various gods, not knowing the truth, the philosophy. And still Bhagavan says, Tepi, they also, Ati taranteva, they will be saved. There is no doubt. Saved from this death, called this ignorance. They will be free of this death and they will attain to life, eternal life. Who? Those Shruti Parayanaha. Those who are true to their beliefs coming from by hearing what they know, what they understand as the path to liberation. Then Bhagavan says that whatever exists, yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavara jangamam. So whatever exists, whatever is substantial, immovable or moving, everything is born, sanjayate, born out of kshetra kshetraga sayogat. This you are supposed to know. This you are supposed to know. So, so whatever you see is created and existent, it is a product of this kshetra kshetrajna sayoga. That is material and consciousness when you see apparently infused, and then you see the creation. And then he says this verse, 27th verse, which we had just touch in our last class. He says, Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishthantam parameshwaram vinashatsu avinashantam yapashyati sapashyati. So this verse and the next verse, they are like two grand, noble verses, all compassing principles of Bhagavad Gita. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram na hinasti atmana atmanam tato yati param gatim. So what does Bhagavan says? He says that Parameshwaram, the highest form of the divine Parameshwaram, it is equally exist in all being. So such a Catholicity, that there is no narrow-mindedness, there is no exclusion, such a universality. Forget about religion, you will not come to see in many thought system this kind of universalism, that all beings, that divine, the highest divine is existent in all beings. Samam, equally, sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. That Parameshwar is equally residing in the hearts of all, in all beings. Then he explains that divine, that is the conscious, which is avinashantam. So that is, it is indestructible because it is not material. It cannot be decomposed. It is not degradable. So it cannot dissolve into its elements. So it is not subject to any modification, vikara, like Prakriti is. So that is avinashantam. So referring to the consciousness, referring to that Atman, referring to that principle, which we refer as this God or Parameshwara, avinashantam. There is no vinasha. So vinatshatsu, that is in Saptami Vibhakti. So what is subject to destruction? What is subject to dissolution? What is subject to decomposition? Which are compound can go to decomposition. So what is subject to decomposition? They are all vinashya. So this vinashatsu, in this vinashatsu, in all what is degradable, everything what is subject to an end. So everything decomposable, where you see something eternal, and that person is alone seeing. So that person's vision is very clear. So that person has attained this fullest harmony and balance, integrity and synergy he has attained. Of what? Of the practical as well as the ideal. He is aware of the vinasya, that is decomposable, and avinashantam, that is the eternal, the deathless. Avinashantam, that Parameshwaram, meaning that when that any individual, he will be able to see God in all beings. Ishvara sarva bhutanam. He will be able to see God in all beings, and then only that person is truly seeing. That meaning that his vision or his approach, his outlook and his attitude is now blemishless, perfect. There is no fault. He has attained the perfection. Here in this life, in the imperfect world, he has attained the perfection. When he will be able to see that deathless in everything dying, when he will be able to see that divine into every being, when he is able to see that God in every human being, or rather every being, or whatever exists. So when being means, not only it has to be sentient, then everything of this universe. Like we see then in the story of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlada. So Hiranyakashipu is very irritated, very angry that he is the doyen of this Rakshasa clan, and his own son Prahlada, he is taking the name of Sri Hari, Vishnu, and he is seething with anger uncontrollably, and he asked that even his Vishnu, Hari, is also in this pillar. And he said, yes, he is also in this pillar. So this is important. So not only that Vishnu, that Sri Hari, he is in all human beings, or rather all every beings, meaning that animals or plants, but also in inert thing like that pillar of that palace. And then what happened? Then he break open that, and then that Nrsimha avatar, he comes out of it and gives moksha to Hiranyakashipu. So that is the definition of perfection. So you have not become one-sided. You are perfectly aware of the practical, the realism, and you are also oriented by the idealism. So then you have attained the perfection. Anything is marred, anything is sacrificed by other view, like realism, if it is marred, sacrificed at the altar of idealism, or idealism is let go for the realistic worldly context, in both cases it is short of perfection. So this is the idea, samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishthantam parameshwaram, that seeing that Parameshwara in all beings, and that is the true, that is the true criteria, the true test, the true mark of the perfection. That is the state of enlightenment, if one is established into it. Generally, when, as it is said, because this state of vision of God is attained through dhyana and yoga, and in samadhi only that absolute realization happen. But after frequenting, then as Sri Ramakrishna said, like somebody goes on the roof, on the terrace, by the same staircase, he climbs down, he comes back, and then he sees the material by which that roof is made. All stairs are made by the same material. So they are not essentially different. What is the implication? What is the message? That one consciousness which is experienced in the samadhi, in the highest state, now that consciousness has become everything of this world. By saying neti neti, you are coming down by saying iti iti. So this is where the circle becomes complete. By giving up everything, that person, through the help of the concentration, he attains that, and then it slowly spills over everything of this experience and of this existence. Then only that God realization is complete, full and mature. So this is the highest state Bhagavan Sri Krishna is explaining to Arjuna. So the next verse says, so with this, now he says, see this verse, samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram. Samavasthitam means samavasthitam ishwaram. Na hinasti atmana atmanam tatah yati param gatim. So first part, you see. So this samadarshitva, this same-sightedness, it is arisen out of this full-blown maturity of this spiritual experience. The spiritual experience which has been attained through the very intensity and at the peak experience of that samadhi has slowly spilled over everything of this existence. And in the normal state of wakefulness, that becomes possible. And that's why this apparently contradictory two ideas to existence, for this is called the illusion and other thing is called as the truth, but they are as if coexistence. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen. Like suppose, what is called an illusion? An example is given. If you are go to a river bed, there would be these oyster shells and they will shine like a mirror or some silver, and if you go near, you will see that it's an oyster shell. So next time you see, do you see it is shining like a silver? Yes, you see. Do you know that it is oyster shell and it is not silver? Yes, you know. So that reality of that and that illusion, both are coexistent. Now it doesn't delude you. Somebody sees a mirage, he runs after it and he sees that there is nothing but the sand. The illusion of all water and trees and greeneries and everything, that is all creation of his mind. After that, whether he will see the mirage, yes, he will definitely see the mirage. Whether he will be fooled, no, he will not be. He will be able to make this distinction clearly. What is real oasis and what is mirage? Oases are the real one, which are the real water bodies and some establishment comes up around it in deserts. Whereas mirage appears like, but there is nothing but sand there. It is not true oasis. So he is able to make the distinction between what is that illusion and what is truth. So it coexists. So similarly, that idealism and that reality, that sense of Ishvara, that vision of Ishvara, that avinashantam in vinashatsu, that becomes possible. Realization, that God realization comes to such kind of maturity. When reading about the life of the great people, we see that. Of course, the life of Sri Ramakrishna or Sarada Devi, but the life of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, like Shivanandaji Maharaj, we see that somebody is some devotee has come to see Maharaj, and Maharaj is like reverentially folding his hands, bowing his head, and for a couple of minutes he is in that position, and those devotees are very embarrassed that Maharaj, he is at that time president of the order and he is making such pranams to them. And then some devotees said to very hesitatingly to Maharaj that we feel very awkward that Maharaj, you make pranams to us. So then he said, I do not make pranam to show you some kind of humility or some kind of my belief or something. It is not because of that. Because when you come, I see the face of the God, and unless I make pranam to that divine, that does not disappear, and I would not be able to speak to you or have any normal conversation if that face of the deity does not disappear. That's why I make pranam till that face disappears. So it is reality for him. So this same-sightedness, and from that same-sightedness coming that kindness, that sympathy, that empathy, that fellow feeling, and not having any ill feeling, condescending any attitude or patronization, or absence of all these kinds of discrimination. So from where this same-sidedness come? It comes from this spiritual maturity. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra. He means indeed sarvatra, everywhere. He sees samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam, 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 samyak avasthitam, samavasthitam. That Ishvara is verily, very well, he is samyak avasthitam. It is not feeling, it is not notion, it is not belief, it is not any conjecture, it is not any deduction. No, it is not. That's why sam avasthitam, samavasthitam. Because samam, showing that he is equally present, or equally he is seeing that samam pashyan, same-sidedness, that samam has already come. Then what is this sam avasthitam? Samyak avasthitam. That is the meaning. That avasthitam Ishwaram, that Ishwara, that Parameshwara, that verily that Ishwar resides everywhere, and that this realized soul, he is seeing that. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra, samavasthita Ishwaram. That Ishwara, which is samyak avasthitam, that is what he is seeing everywhere. Sarvatra, samam. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra, samavasthitam Ishwaram. So, seeing thus, he says, why realized soul. And then Bhagwan uses, bring this ideal, high idea of Vedanta, of this oneness of existence, to the battlefield. He brings that idea to the battlefield, and then he says, seeing thus everywhere, that person na hinasti, is not killing, na hinasti. Why? Atmana atmanam. Because the one who is killing, that is also Atman, that is he only. And to whom he is killing, it is he only. There is no distinction. So why does he is killing? So killing is important from, or something it is special, it is from your standpoint of view. For him, it has lost its specific importance. It is just what any other thing would be done or should have been done, and that individual is doing. It would be same as you are hungry or you are thirsty and he is giving you water or giving you food or would try to save your life, also taking your life, and there is no distinction. Because that is the only dharmam, that is the only righteous thing if it is remaining. In that context, then he will be doing that. There would be no hesitation. Na hinasti atmana atmanam. And thus, engaging from the highest standpoint of view in this very material business, that person tato yati param gatim. That individual, he goes to the highest destiny by the highest way. Param gatim. The highest goal he goes. He attains that param gatim. Na hinasti, he does not injure or does not kill. Both meanings are there. Injure is also appropriate. Hin dhatu, that is hinsa. So this is the secret of work. This is what Sri Krishna brings Arjuna to the highest standpoint of view, to shed off his illusion and do the needful and attain to the highest goal of life. Attain to that liberation, attain to that enlightenment. This karma can become yoga. Even of killing others, if that is his duty, his kshatriya, he is on the battlefield and it means death, so be it. Now, things, instances, events of this material world, due to ignorance, it amounts to us too much. Your success or your failure, your praises or insult amounts to you too much. When this shade of ignorance is dropped off and you come to embrace the reality in its bare form, then what remains? Then this illusion, this will go away. Then only seeing the context, only seeing the need, that person acts through the sense of what would be appropriate, through the sense of appropriateness. Then howsoever, from the point of view, in the eyes of the worldly people, howsoever unimaginable it might be. So, this is how the daring ideas of Vedantas are. And this is how in one verse, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he combines two extreme of the ideas, the highest of the ideals and highest of the reality. Most gory of the reality, killing someone, injuring someone. Na hinasti atmanam. Na hinasti atmana atmanam. Na hinastyatmanatmanam. Tato yati param gatim. He does not do that. Knowing this. Knowing what? Samam pashyan. This word means seeing thus or doing this in this way. It is present continuous tense. Pashyan. He does not kill. Na hinasti. Atmana atmanam. Do you do that? You do not do that. Similar way. So he just does. So this goriness of this act, it does not even exist for him. It does not even touch him. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram. It only becomes this sadhana, this upasana, this worship of the divine even in the battlefield of doing his duty. So this is the 28th verse. Then this idea is further taken forward or rather reiterated in this 29th verse in a different way. What does Bhagavan says? Prakrutyaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvashah ya pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. How does he does not kill? He says that the person who sees this, or meaning that who realizes and lives this truth. What is that truth? That he sees that Prakriti eva, Prakriti alone is doing all karma. And also kriyamana. All actions, all deeds, and doing those things. So, known as the noun and also as the process, in both ways, it is Prakriti only. That alone it does everything sarvashah, sarvatha. In all ways, there is no other agency. It is total prerogative, total jurisdiction, absolutely of Prakriti alone. And the person who sees this, the person who sees this means who realizes this, who is living by that principle, who is living by that truth. Ya pashyati tathatmanam. So that person, he sees that Atmanam Akartaram. That person, he sees, what does he see? Then he will see that his self is totally Atma, his self is Akartaram, that he is not Karta, he is not the doer, he is not doing anything. Tatha Atmanam Akartaram Pashyati. Prakriti alone is doing everything. All actions and all doings are of Prakriti. Prakrutya eva. So Prakrutya is in third case, instrumental case. Prakrutya eva karmani kriyamanani sarvashah. So all deeds and all doings are through the agency of Prakriti only, through the instrument of Prakriti only. Tatha Atmanam. In this way, thus, therefore, he sees Atmanam Akartaram Sapashyati. One who sees this, he sees this. Then he sees this, that he realizes this. What does he realize? That Atmanam, self, is not the doer. Self is not the doer. This again and again, how wonderfully in this 13th chapter, this reiterated. That self, your true self, that is the pure consciousness, is not involved in any action. It is not tainted, touched by any action. It is not responsible for any action. Doing is not its thing. That's who you truly are. That is all alone Prakriti. Then, taken this idea forward, yada bhuta pruthak bhavam ekastham anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadhyate tada. What will happen? When an individual, he will see that bhuta pruthak bhavam, that all beings, all elements in their pruthak, that distinct elements, pruthak bhavam, in their own nature, you will see they are ekastham, they exist. When he sees the separate existence of all beings inherent in the one, ekastham anupashyati, that they exist in one. Yada bhuta pruthak bhavam ekastham anupashyati. In one only, all these beings with their all distinct elements, they exist in one. When somebody will see that, when somebody will realize that, then what he will see? That Brahma sampadhyate tada. That then he will attain to Brahman. That he will attain to that infinity, that infinite consciousness, that one consciousness which is overlapping, which is permeating through and through everything of this universe. So you will see all this existing in one, along with its multiple vistara and vikara, modification, permutation, combination, all of it existing in one only. In that consciousness only everything is being held. It is Prakriti alone that is doing, and consciousness is ever untouched by it. Attaining your Atman, what? That person will attain the Brahman. He will attain that infinite consciousness. Anaditvat nirgunatvat paramatma ayam avyayah. Sharirasthopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. So, being the nature of the Atman, nature of that Purusha, nature of that consciousness, what? It is anaditvat, that it is anadi, that is, it is not born out of anything, there is no beginning, meaning that then it does not have any end. If it would have been born of something, then there would be something which is birth giver. That means it would have been compound because it is made up of two, but it is not such. It is not born out of anything, meaning that it is in its pure element always. It is not product of some admixture of two elements giving birth to a compound. It is not like that. It is one simple anaditvat. Therefore, nirgunatvat, because it is not such material which is a product of two like every other matter is. It does not have any gunas. It is not born out of gunas like Prakriti. It has its element. It has its gunas. Purusha does not have. Nirgunatvat, anaditvat, nirgunatvat, paramatma. So that is the inner self, the highest self of all beings. Ayam avyayah. That is, avyaya means immutable, means it is that it cannot be spent, it cannot be corroded, it cannot be eroded, it cannot be divided. It is immutable. So this is the nature of the Atman. Because of these qualities, because of this nature, not qualities. Because of this nature, anaditvat, nirgunatvat, paramatma, ayam paramatma, avyayah. So this is the nature. Then what happens? Sharirasthopi kaunteya. Therefore, though in being the body, sharira, kshetrajna, though being in the sharir, though one can realize that it is the soul of everything, it is existing in everything. Then, what does he say? Na karoti na lipyate kaunteya. That it does not do and it is not touched by anything. Na lipyate. Is not affected. Touched, yes. So, of any action or therefore the result thereof, good, bad, it is not touched, it is ever witness. This is the nature of the Atman. Giving the example to explain this point, यथा सर्वगतम सौक्ष्म्यात् आकाशम नोपलिप्यते सर्वत्रावस्थितो देहे तथात्मा नोपलिप्यते. Giving the example, like the Akasha, as that Akasha is sarvagatam, it is everywhere. It is everywhere. And Sokshmat, because it is so subtle, as it is not touched by anything, whatever happens in that space, that is not, that blemish does not go to the Akasha. So Akasha is not even air. Akasha is the space itself. As soon as we say space, any kind of form can exist in space. Form can exist in space. Without space, form cannot happen. So idea of plane, of point, of distance, everything is possible in the space. That element is called as space. So in the space everything can happen, but nothing blemishes the space because it is so sukshma. So if I do something, if I spill water over here, this will get wet, yes. But Akasha, no. This wetness of this water will not touch the Akasha. If I spill over some ink, it will stain this cloth, not the Akasha. That ink cannot touch the Akasha, etc. This air, okay, there is some bad smell is intermixed, or good smell, good fragrance, it is intermixed in the air, okay. So that air can get contaminated, not the Akasha. So similarly, giving that example, Sokshmat, because of its subtlety, Akasha, Akasham, na upalipyate, nopalipyate, it does not get, it is not touched by anything. Yatha sarvagatam Sokshmat, Akasham na upalipyate, sarvatra avasthito dehe, being present everywhere and also in deha, sarvatra avasthito dehe tathatma nopalipyate. So it is not only in the body, it is everywhere. And just in the previous verse, it was said that everything exists in it. This is what he has again and again, the concept of Atman, this consciousness, what being talked about here, has to be very carefully understood. Sarvatra avasthito dehe tathatma na upalipyate. That Atman is not touched by Deha and Deha Vyapara or anything else what exists, because everything belongs to Prakriti. Prakrutya evacha karmani kriyamanani sarvashah ya pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sapashyati. Here also in the previous verse, sharirasthopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Though it is in the body, it does not do anything, it is not touched by anything of all this karmani and kriyamanani. So this is thus Atma. It is present everywhere, and so also in the body as Atma, as a Jiva of the being, and it is not affected, it is not touched. No upalipyate. Yatha prakashayatyekah, yatha prakashayati ekah prusnam lokam imam ravihi. Like one sun, eka ravihi. Yatha prakashayati means as it lights up, light up. Imam lokam, all this world, krusnam, whole. Krusnam means whole. Imam means this. Lokam means jagat or world. Kshetram kshetri tatha krusnam prakashayati bharata. So all kshetras are thus lightened up by this kshetrajna, kshetri or kshetri, the one who owns this kshetra. That is that Paramatma, that is that Ishvara, that is that Atma, which is in every kshetra. So, like one sun illumines all this world, so also in any kshetra, any body, that kshetri, that Atma illumines all of it. This is kshetra kshetrajna yorevam antaram jnana chakshusha. This jnana chakshu, that is this discrimination, this eye of knowledge. Who developed this? This antaram, that is the distinction between the two. One kshetra, that is material, kshetrajna, that is purusha, that is consciousness. Kshetra kshetrajna yorevam antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha viduryanti te param. That these people, bhuta prakriti, of these elements, of this matter, of this material, they will attain moksha. With the eye of knowledge, who pursue this distinction between kshetra and kshetrajna. Also emancipation from the prakriti of beings, and they attain the viduryanti te param. Who knows this? Bhuta prakriti moksham. These three things, elements, which are the main resources of the material expansion, which prakriti, which is also the part of prakriti, bhuta prakriti, and moksham, the liberation. Vidu, who knows this? Te yanti param, they attain to the highest. So knowing this distinction between material and consciousness, kshetra and kshetrajna, attaining this discrimination, they see, understand these three things very distinctly. Bhuta, prakriti and moksha. And they attain to highest. And here, this 13th chapter of the name of the discrimination between the material and consciousness. material that is kshetra, and consciousness that is which is the knower of this kshetra, the field. Kshetra means field, the knower of the field. Or kshetra and kshetri, this word is also used. Kshetri means the owner of the kshetra. So deha and dehi, this terminology was used in second chapter. Here kshetra and kshetrajna, or kshetra and kshetri, the field and field owner, or field and field knower. These terminologies are used in this chapter. So the knower, the discrimination between these two, the field and knower of the field, the yoga of this name, is this concluded as the 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So these verses, they are very divine, very great, as good as this Sthita Prajna Lakshana Yoga, those verses which we see in the second chapter. And these are for really this contemplation. It is also prarthana, it is also meditation of that Brahman. It is slowly inspiring again and again what is the goal of our life, what we are supposed to attain, where we must reach, what we must strive for, what we must aspire in this life, what is attainable, what we must dream of. These are these verses. This is what it tells. This is for which we get the birth, Manushyatvam. And this is the one sole purpose of our life, of our existence. That is the one aim of all our efforts, all our initiatives. They are directed towards it, and they will only come to cease when we attain this state. This is the import. So we conclude here this chapter, because, and these verses, though they are very profound and of very high flight, they take in this spiritual firmament, but there is nothing much to be told or explained, because they are not complicated. They are straight away, simply unambiguous. So, right from the 27th verse to the end of this chapter, 34th verse, so almost 7 to 8 verse we took in the one class, because there was nothing much commentary to be made. As far as I was not, say these verses themselves are very grand. So there is nothing complicated to be understood. We have discussed earlier all of that. Now in the next class we will start this 14th chapter. In this 14th chapter also, there is, towards the end of this chapter, there is very beautiful section. In response to Arjuna's query, Bhagwan says very beautiful words. So we will start 14th chapter from the next class, next Sunday. नेक्स्ट संडे क्लास होगा तो नहीं, तो ठीक है, उस दिन हम नहीं लेते क्लास। तिथि पूजा के दिन हम क्लास नहीं लेंगे, ठीक है ना। 1 तारीख को महाराज का तिथि पूजा है ना, 1 तारीख को नेक्स्ट संडे को अद्वैतानंद जी महाराज का तिथि पूजा है। उस दिन मंदिर में पाठ रहेगा आरती के बाद। जिन लोगों को आपको मतलब आना चाहते हैं वो लोग आ सकते हैं। उसके बाद होगा 8 तारीख को, नहीं 8 को भी नहीं होगा, विसर्जन 9 तारीख को है ना, तो 8 को भी नहीं होगा। फिर उसके बाद देखो 15 को, कैलेंडर है कि नहीं, कैलेंडर एक बार देख लो तो वो बता देता हूं। 15 सितंबर को, 15 सितंबर को तो कुछ रखा तो नहीं है, 15 सितंबर को हो जाएगा। फिर मेरे ख्याल से 21 सितंबर को फिर से नहीं होगा। 21 सितंबर को क्योंकि यहाँ पे यूथ कैंप वगैरह है, और 21 सितंबर को मैं बाहर भी जाऊंगा, ऐसा प्लान। 15 को होगा लेकिन 21 को नहीं होगा। 21 को यूथ कैंप है अपने यहाँ पे, 15 को होगा, 15 को होगा, 15 को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, लेकिन 21 को नहीं होगा। तो उसके बाद वाले संडे को जो परिस्थिति है उसके अनुसार, तो 15 को बता सकते हैं, ठीक है। ठीक है कि नहीं? ओके। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम तत्सत्। श्री राम कृष्णार्पणमस्तु।